Hey guys, this is Gaijin Hunter. Capcom TV showed off some brand new gameplay footage of the Great Sword against an Acnosome. Keep in mind that the West had gotten some gameplay clips earlier that was never shared here in Japan, so this is sort of like a brand new sneak peek specifically for Japan, but we got to see some cool new stuff. What I'm going to do for this format, instead of just giving you this crazy analysis, I'm just going to pause the video as we go through it and let you know my observations, and all the stuff that's in Japanese I'll translate for you. What you're seeing here is the English footage, so I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the Japanese one now. Okay, so starting off, I think this is the first time we're actually seeing the sort of animation for when you start a quest, which I thought was really cool. We got the nice sort of font for quest start. We got the owl shooting off, which is what's going to mark the locations with those question marks. And obviously we know what field we're starting in. One thing I wanted to note here, because I saw some people actually debating this online because they didn't know, but the reason why a quest is 50 minutes, I have a separate video where I cover why you hunt in packs of 4 people, not 5, because there's an actual story lore reason for it. But as far as 50 minutes, it's less about the lore and it's actually just about online gaming. So at the time when they were releasing Monster Hunter, online gaming was starting to become a thing, and the idea back then was that the longer you played, the better you were. The more time you put in, the stronger you got, and they wanted to sort of go against the norm, so they went ahead and they put a limit on there. They wanted people to be able to finish a quest in under an hour, but they didn't want to make it so short that you would be discouraged from doing hunter stuff. For example, if you're going out with 3-4 people and you want to do some fishing or some gathering on the quest, you'd be able to do so without having to risk the idea that the quest might fail because you run out of time. So yeah, that's the reason why. They went over that in a special interview with Nintendo President Iwata-san back, I think, at the release of Monster Hunter Tri. Okay, moving on. I'm going to put a link for the actual video feed down below with the timestamp of where it starts. This video was interesting because they removed all the music. So it's actually a very good sneak peek at what all the sound effects sounded like. Here, they just write it down below that as a single player, you can bring 2 companions with you, or online, you can take 1, and you're allowed to mix and match. So you can have a Palico and a Palamute, or 2 Palamutes or 2 Palicos. In this one, they're showing you 2 Palamutes. Here down below, they're just saying that, yes, you're able to create your own character. So they're showing off a character that looks very different from the past trailers and stuff like that. So we get to see this handsome hunter. So down below, they're going to write that in the game options, you're able to change the frequency in which your hunter speaks, or you can turn it off completely. And you're also able to tone down the hit effects. In past games, I believe that was like if you didn't want that like flashy blood, you were able to turn it back and dial it back so that it was just like a hit effect and there was no blood. So if that bothers you, like there's just too much going on, you can reduce it if you want. This is interesting because they're showing a very steep rock, and for this one, it does look like you might need to use the wire bug. They do have a special name for it for the wall run, and they're calling it a wire bug skill. So it looks like you'll need to use that diagonal wire bug, and that will give your hunter the momentum to run up the high incline of the cliff. And did you see this dog? It's like he smelled bacon and just jumped right off the cliff. I love I love random stuff like that, and here he comes. Whoop! He's a super dog. Yeah, so here they're just zipping around with the wire bug and showing off how that works, which if you've been keeping up with Monster Hunter Rise, you're probably used to it. On the bottom right here, they're just showing how you can cycle through your different quick actions for your Palamutes. So if you just want a quick action button that you can hit so you can ride on one of them, you can do that, and they'll have some other commands as well. Of course, you can just hold the A button, and that will also automatically have you mount one of your Palamutes that's close. So lots of options to go with here. And of course, it says down below you can enjoy communication with your companions. So on the left here is the tree to give me paw, and you can pet your Palamute as well. Very cute. Okay, in this next section, they're going to show off that you can slide down slopes, which is nice because I did enjoy that part of Monster Hunter World. Of course, it's going to be faster to just jump on one of your doggos and ride around. You don't lose any stamina. You can jump. When you jump off of them, you'll see later you get like an aerial attack, and you can use items while you're on them as well. So they're showing off you can use a potion, you can eat some steaks, and do stuff like that, sharpen your weapon. Just so you guys are curious, if you don't take a Palamute with you, you can still get around really fast using the wire bug. And that's the idea, is that you can just jump over cliffs and get to the other end if you're going with Palicos, or if you're on a dog, you can just jump on it and run. So it's really, it's up to you, but I don't think you're going to be disadvantaged if you don't have a dog with you. So we got some endemic life right in front of us, these butterflies. So these ones in English we know are called peeper sects, and what they do is they reduce the amount of stamina consumption you do for different moves like evasion and stuff like that for a limited period of time. In the previous demo that we saw for the English one, I measured it at about 90 seconds, but it is nice to know that we can reduce our stamina by simply paying attention to our surroundings. Also, by the way, comparing evasion stamina usage, it seems to be about a 25% reduction. For this cool little butterfly here, it says below that for a limited period of time, it will raise your defense. So what's interesting is we do have those little birds that fly around the maps that will automatically go to you and buff you, like increasing your maximum health, your maximum defense, your attack, or your defense. For those, they don't seem to be using the Japanese that says for a limited period of time. So I think it's actually just a status boost for the entire quest, or until you cart maybe. For these ones, they do mention that it's for a limited period of time. So for this one, it might be something like, I don't know, plus 5% defense for 90 seconds or something like that. So something to keep in mind. Now, why I personally assume they'll still have the items, I do like this idea that instead of just everyone standing there at the beginning of a quest and just buffing themselves constantly with demon drugs and armor skins and stuff like that, that you can plan out a route to the monster and you can buff yourself on the way there. So it's kind of like two birds, one stone. Those are those little birds I was telling you about. These seem to be probably a permanent boost, as they don't say for a limited period of time, but we need to know they'll boost your maximum health, your maximum stamina, your defense, and your attack power. Those are nice because they'll just come to you. You don't actually have to press a button. So as long as you find them, you get the buff. So here we go, our favorite little healing boy, the snail, which is called the Escurgo, which is a great name. We saw this in the English gameplay preview where you can pick it up and it's like an item and you can place it down like a health booster and you get this sort of like curative mist around you that you and probably other hunters can enjoy as well. So here below, they're just writing that there are parts of the field which we know are called safe areas in which you'll find a lot of endemic life. There's some breakable elements here where you can uncover certain things. So these are nice areas that you can go into to get a break from the hunt, to heal up, and also find these sort of creatures and items so that you can buff yourself. So I love the idea because it's sort of like that idea of the zones being separated, but without having to do it through loading screens, which I thought was pretty cool. So yeah, the whole idea is that you're going to be using these endemic lives as buffs before you go into a hunt or during a hunt. So again, we don't know whether or not those buff items will just exist. They probably will, but I personally love the idea that you're using your environment and the life around you to plan for a hunt. It feels very hunterish, if you know what I mean. Now, this is pure speculation on my behalf, but I actually think that this is a quality of life improvement that they're showing us that many people may not realize. But there is a bullfango there in this area, and this is not the first time I've seen this, but the bullfango, while not engaged, seems to be asleep. If I am correct, this could mean that perhaps bullfangos won't really ram you and knock you around unless you're actively engaged in a fight with a monster in that area while you're there, which would be fantastic because those monsters can be very annoying when all you're trying to do is like mine ores and collect stuff. So if that's true, that'd be great. Or maybe they're just sleeping because it's, you know, they sleep for 10 seconds and they wake up and walk around. I don't know. Anyways, I've seen it more than once, so I thought it would be worth mentioning. So here we are, we're going to spot the Acnosum. I love this here is they're not in a safe area at all, but still the monster is able to snipe them. Watch this. I think it was Palamute 1, he gave away the location. So it was actually nice to see that they have sort of took it into consideration that you might get knocked around or trip. So there's little areas and footholds, so you're not just falling down the entire map, which I thought is pretty nice. And here we are, engagement with our favorite bird wyvern, the Acnosum. I love how it floats in the air and it uses its mane really like an umbrella, which is where it gets its name from in Japanese. And it likes to stand on one leg. It does have these awesome like sort of swipe attacks, which remind me a lot about Malfestio. Here below, they're saying that the type of fire that it spews is actually pretty special. And it's got a liquid sort of nature to it, which keeps the fire sticking around after it fires it for a short period of time. Here they're showing the wire fall technique, which allows you to get up after getting knocked down. Of course, uses a wire bug with a recharge. And here we're seeing them using the wire bug and the hop that you can do from it to do aerial attacks. They have mentioned that they're going to rework the mounting system. They have something new and special for this game. They're just not ready to talk about it yet. but it is really interesting to see just the incredible mobility and speed that we're going to get out of this game thanks to the wire bugs. Okay, this next part I find very interesting. So from an aerial jump, we've seen that you can do just a normal slash downward. Well, here he's going to do the thrust downward. So it makes it look like there's going to be a player choice on which attack you want to do. That's going to be really interesting because now they're going to show off another attack, which is actually a silk bind attack, which takes a longer cooldown, which seems to just be a more powered up version of the aerial attack. You'll vault off the monster and you'll have two choices. You can either do a charge slash or you can do a powerful downward thrust. So he's going to wait for an opening. He's going to do it here. This is called the hunting edge. Jumps off the monster. He chooses here just to do the normal attack, but we've seen in the past that you can also do a very strong downward thrust as well if you prefer. I just love the choices. You get two different types of aerial attacks and you get this cool art in which you can choose two different finishes depending on the situation. So thumbs up from me. So here we're going to see a new combo path. He's going to do an aerial attack, the wide slash, and then afterwards he's able to combo it into a true charge slash. That is super interesting. Those Palamutes are really aggressive. They're trying to show their worth. So two very interesting things to point out here. One is in the background we can see that the bone piles that are incredibly visible are back from Monster Hunter World. I love that they're highlighting them and making them more visible so that they're not hidden. The other one is this dragonfly-like creature. The hunter passes it just temporarily, and we can see the pop-up, which says that this thing will increase your affinity, which I assume will be for a limited period of time. So I love the idea in the areas where you're hunting monsters, there may be dragonflies that you can pick up that will boost your affinity. By how much, by how long, who knows? Maybe there's a cap, maybe there's not, but that's pretty neat. Okay, so here they're going to show us the other Silkbind attack, which is the Power Sheath. For the Greatsword, it allows you to put away your weapon really fast, and then for a limited period of time, it increases your attack power. So this is not like the hunting art where it's not just for your next one attack. This is just a flat-out power increase for however amount of seconds. This looks like an incredibly fast way to sheath your weapon, and it could just very well just get rid of the idea or the need for a skill like Quick Sheath for this type of weapon. It seems really powerful. We'll have to see how they're going to balance this. They're still like 4.5, 5 months out from release. So here's an interesting combo. So he does an aerial jump attack. He chooses, instead of doing a slice, he does a downward stab. From there, he's able to combo into a strong charge and then into a true charge slash. So that's another new combo path, which is super exciting. And look at the damage. That was really meaty. He hits a weak spot, so he gets the intact boost here. 178. It is worth mentioning, if you look in the right hand side here, that the new change that they made in Iceborne, which is if you hit a weak spot on that first attack of the True Charge Slash, that the final part does even more damage. That appears to be back in this game as well, which I love because it really encouraged aiming and timing, which is the heart of the weapon. Then you also have to stop and just look at the scaling here. It just shows you how many different factors go into damage. For example, on the left here, they're using yellow sharpness, which if you're keeping in track with older games, if you hit with the tip of the weapon, which they do and not the center, you're only doing 70% of your actual power. Where if you hit at the exact center of your blade, which they're doing on the one on the right hand side, you're going to be doing 105% of your damage, so huge gap already. Then on the right, the monster is enraged. On the left, they're not, and a monster will take more damage when it's enraged. And they're doing the true charge slash on the right, which means they're getting an additional 20% attack power on that final hit, because they're hitting a weak point first. And if we look at the effects, it looks like they're proccing a critical hit, which is an increased 25% attack damage. So yeah, tons of oh, and they also have the Power Sheath active, so we don't know how much extra power that is. So yeah, it all adds up. So we're seeing a huge difference of 56 versus 178 damage. So if you're veterans to the series, you already know how this works, but just something to keep in mind if you're trying to track the damage and you're wondering why it seems to be all over the place. It's actually pretty much in line with the other games. Anyways, that's all the new stuff that we saw. I hope you guys enjoyed my analysis and my thoughts, and I hope you're as excited for this game as I am. If Capcom is going to follow their traditional sort of menu-like format, then we might see the longsword next, but whatever they show us, I can't wait. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Until next time, happy hunting.